Well, anticipation and nerves for Panthers fans are peaking as we are less than 24 hours from the wild card matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. It's the Panthers' first playoff game in 8 years, and it's safe to say, Bryce, that they are the underdogs tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us for our Panthers playoff Prowl special. I'm Logan Campbell.
And I'm Bryce Parker. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll be diving into everything: the matchup, how we got here, the previous matchup against the Rams, the forecast in Charlotte tomorrow, and last but not least, our predictions for the game.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say a lot of fans aren't really thinking about the Super Bowl right now. Most of us just want to see a win tomorrow. So to start the special, let's focus on how the Panthers even got here.
Yeah, it's been a rocky road for these last 2 weeks for the Black and Blue. After a win in Tampa Bay in Week 16, the Panthers dropped their last 2 games, the first one against the Seahawks and then their regular season finale against the Buccaneers, leaving their playoff hopes in their NFC South division rival, the Atlanta Falcons. The Panthers needed the Falcons to defeat the Saints in order to punch their ticket to the playoffs, and Atlanta did just that, closing out the regular season with a 19-17 home win, setting up tomorrow's matchup with a Rams team that the Panthers have already defeated earlier this year.
So the Panthers join a very exclusive short list of teams that have made the NFL playoffs with a losing record. Now, oddly enough, head coach Dave Canales has been on the coaching staff for one of those teams. In 2010, Canales was a wide receivers coach for the Seattle Seahawks, a 7-9 team that beat the defending Super Bowl champs, the New Orleans Saints, in the wild card round. Now, almost 15 years later, Canales finds himself in a similar position, this time as the head coach of the underdog team.
I remember most is even at 7-9, which we were that year, we won the division and we got a home game, which gave us the crowd. And that's what I'm so excited about, is bringing football back into Bank of America Stadium. Our fans have really had an impact, particularly when our defense has been on the field. And then just the momentum of the plays being made. I just remember, that was New Orleans Saints, the defending Super Bowl champs from the year before in 2009. Of course, I can't forget, Beastquake. Just an amazing memory, an electric moment, and I'm really excited to create some memories and moments here in Bank of America Stadium wildcard weekend.
All right, so Dave Canales is ready, but after talking to several players in the locker room, I can guarantee you no one is more ready to play in this game than quarterback Bryce Young. He is no stranger to finding success and high-stakes games, given his performances with Alabama in the college football playoffs. So him and his teammates are ready for him to emulate the same energy this Saturday against the Rams.
I'm super proud of this group. And again, the season resets. Coach talks about it all year, and it's just as true as ever. It's about going 1-0. Again, this isn't about me. This isn't about any individual. We have a group of guys that we're a team. We all play for each other. I'm excited for this group more so than anything.
I'm so fired up for Bryce and for the whole crew, but these are the moments, and in my mind, when we've put Bryce into these high-stakes situations, he's performed well, whether it's going for it on 4th down, end-of-game type of stuff. It's an area where he just continues to execute and do the basics and the fundamentals that we ask him to. And so these games are like that. And, when you're playing a great opponent like the Rams, all the little execution and the fundamentals are so important. And so I love this challenge for our group and especially for Bryce.
A lot of growth, man. He's grown every game this year, especially in these tight games that we've had, watching him come down and, break records, and have a great season, the season he's having. So to see him in the playoffs, man, he's been there. He's been in Bama. So the pressure won't hurt him, So I'm excited to watch him play, watch him keep doing great things and, lead us all the way.
Now, the 2024 season was a rough one for this Carolina Panthers defense. Under defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, the team ranked 32nd in the league in yards and points allowed per game. But in 2025, this unit was able to make a big-time turnaround. The team now ranks in the top half of most of defensive categories, including yards allowed per game with 327 and points per game with 22.5.
We added some great pieces. Again, talking about Dan, just adding guys like Trey Merrick into the mix, and adding guys like Turk Wharton, obviously getting Derek back. Christian Roseboom, who's done a great job for us. These are guys that we've counted on to come through and to play together, and he's done a great job of just. Also within that, there's scheme and there's understanding who your players are, bringing them together so that we have the right concepts we can execute. And Ejiro and the defensive staff have been tireless just bringing these guys together. And then the players have taken a lot of that on their own and do the extra work, have the conversation so that they play connected.
Now, one of the bigger storylines actually started back in April when general manager Dan Morgan made a surprising pick 8th overall in the NFL draft. In back-to-back years, the Panthers selected a wide receiver in the first round. This year, it was Tedaroya McMillan out of Arizona. And turns out that's the best thing that they could have done. T-Mac is the Offensive Rookie of the Year favorite heading into the postseason after setting a franchise rookie record with 1,014 receiving yards in 2025, leading all first-year players. While that's impressive, McMillan is more focused on getting a win Saturday against the Los Angeles Rams than on any postseason accolades.
I mean, I feel like I'm different just because, you know, it's my first year, so I don't know what it's like to miss the playoffs. So, you know, I'm just grateful for every opportunity, man. We get to play another game and a chance at playing another game after that. But I'm just glad, you know, out of all things that, you know, we were able to make the playoffs. We got a chance at doing something great in Charlotte that hasn't been done in a long time. So I feel like, you know, that holds a higher power than, you know, me being the leading favorite for the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
The Panthers clinching their playoff spot marks a major shift for a team that spent the last few seasons rebuilding. And for players who once wore the black and blue, this moment feels familiar and promising. One of those is Brenton Burson, who spent 5 seasons with the Panthers, including the year they went to the Super Bowl in 2015. He says playoff football isn't just about wins, it's about the energy a city brings when fans really get behind their team.
Win or go home, I guess, is at the end of the day how bad do you want to keep playing. And a lot of guys obviously never been in this position, so for how hard we work to get here, we want to stay as long as we can.
For me personally, it's kind of like just don't get so caught up in like, oh, it's playoffs, wild card, whatever. Like, just focus in on my technique, focus in on like what I got to do to put myself and the team in position to win.
I think just continue to follow my routine and you try to add more to it. You know, this is the biggest games of our season, biggest game that I played in so far. So just do everything I can to, you know, prepare.
So we already talked about T-Mac, but it's not just him. So many rookies have stepped up in big ways for this season for the Panthers, especially kicker Ryan Fitzgerald. He's had 3 go-ahead field goals to secure wins for Carolina. So I caught up with the clutch kicker ahead of Saturday's game. We are here with the kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald, leading up to one of the biggest games in Carolina Panthers history. We have a wild card game this Saturday against Los Angeles. The playoffs are back in Charlotte. How are you feeling coming into this matchup?
Super excited, you know, first time, and talked to JJ about his experiences and everything, so I'm pumped up.
JJ's one of the few people that have experienced a playoff in this locker room. What has he told you?
It's just any other game, you know. I mean, might be a few more studios on the sidelines in pregame. You know, atmosphere at home has been great all year, so it's gonna be fun. You know, you are in one of the hardest positions as the kicker on this team. How do you not let the moments when you're taking onto the field and prepping to take those kicks, how do you not let that get to your head? I think it's just every kick I've had this year has been the most important kick to me, and that's how I viewed it, so nothing changes. You mentioned a little bit about how JJ has been coaching you up, but amongst all the other younger guys in this team, what have you guys been saying to each other leading up to this wild card game? Yeah, I mean, gotta have it. You know, it's go home or keep going. So, you know, we're just excited, trying to gain an edge this week in any way we can. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Now, though we're in the heart of Panthers country, there may be some people in the triad who'll be rooting for a Rams victory. And that's because of East Surrey alum and Rams punter Ethan Evans. Now, Saturday's game will be a homecoming of sorts for the 2019 East Surrey graduate, his third year in the NFL as a veteran. He's played collegiately at Wingate, where he was selected as an AP All-American in his senior season. Evans was selected in the 7th round of the 2023 draft for the Rams, making him the second Wingate Bulldog ever to be drafted, and he's been the Rams' starting punter ever since.
Now, believe it or not, this is the second time this season that the Rams and Panthers have played. The two met at Bank of America Stadium back in November when LA was the top team in the NFC. The Panthers played some of their best football, picking off Matthew Stafford 3 times to lead the Panthers to a 31-28 win. While the Rams are the 10-point favorites heading into this playoff game, the Panthers are hoping to emulate what they did last meeting and pull off another upset.
Continue to build on what we was able to do from that previous game. But, you know, they're going to come in ready for it. You know, they've been good in the run the whole year, and we was able to get going on them. So we expect them to come and try and stop it, but just got to go out there and execute.
You know, it's just good to, have everybody healthy and everybody back this time around because, he's a great quarterback. He did it at a high level for a very long time and got a lot of weapons. So we need everybody back, and, we just got to find a way to take the ball away and, do what we did last game.
As you can imagine, the Panthers being in the playoffs has some former players taking notice. Miles Harris spoke with one former Panther about what this moment and this season means for the franchise.
After years on the outside looking in, the Carolina Panthers are back in the playoff picture, a milestone that signals progress for a young roster and a fan base hungry for winning football.
It's just great being from Charlotte, in the city of Charlotte, and kind of the buzz we have going into this weekend.
Brenton Burson spent 5 seasons with the Panthers, including being on the team when they went to the Super Bowl back in 2015. He says playoff football isn't just about wins, it's about the energy a city brings when fans rally behind their team.
So the fans actually, you play a big role in the performance of the team. It's cool to see success, have a playoff game. Fans are going to pack it out. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and the players are going to have an advantage from that.
With renewed energy, the Panthers are hoping this postseason appearance is just the beginning, not the exception.
So this is experience that you are now getting that they haven't had for 8 years, right? So none of these, some of them probably have been in this position, but very limited. Obviously, the rookies haven't. So it's good to build that. And then into next season, you've been there before. Win or lose this game, you've been to the playoffs, you've been in that big game, you've learned from it. You kind of build on that.
And sometimes games can come down to how refs call it. We'll take a look at the officiating crew for the Rams-Panthers matchup after the break.
And the weather can play a big role in a football game. I'm tracking the potential of some rain, maybe even thunder. And oh yeah, we're going to have wind to talk about as well. Get that full Panthers forecast next.
And before we head to the break, we have some trivia questions for you all. All right, so there's 3 questions. How many playoff wins do the Panthers have since 2000? What record did Bryce Young break this year? And for the older crowd, where did the Panthers play their inaugural season? I'll give you a hint. It was not in Charlotte. We'll have the answers after the break. Welcome back, everyone, to our Panthers playoff special. All right, so right before break, we went and asked all of you 3 trivia questions.
Now, our producer put this together, so we don't know the answers just yet. The first one we were asked is, how many playoff wins do the Panthers have since 2000? Logan, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, well, let me think about this. So 2015, they went to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So I would have to think that that was 3 wins there.
Yeah, had to be 3.
Okay, then
well,
they went
remember, they had the bye because they
Yep.
were the 1 seed.
True. Then they did the same thing in 2003.
Right.
So is that also 3 wins?
Possibly. So at least we're looking at 6.
Yeah. Okay, we're looking at 6.
We're at least looking at 6.
I believe they made the playoffs 2 other times. It was wild card games. Did they win? I'm gonna go 50-50. I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna say that they have won 7 playoff games.
I'm going to go 9.
9?
I think they won 9.
All right, should we see what the answer is?
The answer is 8. We're 1 off. But I think we split it, so if we're actually keeping score, we can like give us both 1.
Sure, we'll give us half a point. And certainly 8 wins is not something that the Panthers fans really want to hear, but those 8 wins, like we said, came during 4 different playoff runs, 2 of those to the Super Bowl.
So not too bad.
Nope, not too bad.
Not too bad. All right, let's go. Moving on to the next question. Bryce Young broke a franchise record this season. Which record was it?
You want to go first? Because I know this one.
Oh, you do know this one.
Yeah.
Was it single season passing?
Yes, it was, and hopefully it is, but he did that, do you know when?
Was it against the
You know
Buccaneers?
it. No, but it was another divisional opponent. I promise I didn't look ahead at this.
It had to be the Falcons then.
It was the Falcons. It was that overtime win against the Falcons.
Yes, no, that was a great game.
It was an incredible game
Yes,
that
I
Bryce
think
had.
Bryce Young, if he can replicate that same success tomorrow, then the Panthers will have really a leg to stand on to be able to compete with the Rams.
Yeah, and that's when we really saw Bryce turn it around. He threw for 448 yards in overtime in a win against the Falcons. That record was held by Cam Newton, who...
And guess who will be at the game,
Yeah,
possibly? Cam
we're
Newton?
hearing Cam Newton's going to be at the game tomorrow, which is very exciting for all of Panthers Nation.
All right, bet. And our last trivia question is a tough one for the younger crowd. In the Panthers' inaugural season in 1995, where did they play their home games? We already told you before the break, this is not in Charlotte, so where do you think it is, Logan?
This one's tough. This one, I need to think about this one. Since it wasn't in Charlotte, and I don't think it was in North Carolina. I'm trying to think of different ties that South Carolina cities have to the Carolina Panthers. So I'm going to go on a whim and say Spartanburg. That's where they hold their training camp?
My guess was going to be Spartanburg, too. I feel like it was South Carolina because, you know, they want to tie the Carolinas together. It's not too far from Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with Spartanburg as well.
Okay, is it Spartanburg?
Let's see. Oh, and we were both wrong. It's Clemson, South Carolina. They played at Clemson University Stadium because their permanent stadium in Charlotte was still under construction. As you can imagine, it was a long bus ride for the Panthers players for their home games.
Oh, we were so close. Should we give half a point since that was South Carolina?
You know, let's give it to ourselves.
Sure. We're going to cheat here and just
Yes.
give us 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
All right, well, a lot of you Panthers fans in Greensboro may be taking the trip down to Charlotte tomorrow. And whether you'll be in the stands, tailgating, or watching the game at a bar, the Amtrak may be a great way to get down there. Our Ben Briscoe took the trip himself to see what it's like.
If you're coming down here to Bank of America Stadium for game day on Saturday, one of the big questions is, where are you going to park? Well, right next door, this garage had parking for $70, but it's almost sold out now. Others in the area are going for up to $110. Or you could spend $40 for a round-trip ticket on the train from Greensboro. Check it out. It really was a nice, smooth ride from Greensboro this morning. It was only about an hour and a half to get from Greensboro to Charlotte. The seats are really comfortable. You can recline, tons of leg room, and a great view. Plus, you met some nice people along the way.
I think it's very cool.
Why?
It's because it seems like people get on there and people is in a good mood. I like people's attitude when they get on there. It's just a happy crowd of people.
Just feel very safe and I just love it.
Yeah,
I like the people in there.
On Saturday, there are 2 trips I'd recommend, the 8 or the 10. They'll both get you here in time for the game. But going back, it's a different story. This is the one catch with the train. There is not a train back to Greensboro after the game. However, you're going to want to stay down here and party and celebrate when the Panthers win on Saturday anyway, and go back Sunday morning.
Well, Tim, one big factor in tomorrow's game could be the weather. It isn't exactly going to be sunny skies in Charlotte, but that might be a good thing for the Panthers.
You know, if you like to play in the slop, maybe you want to get the run game going, anything like that, sometimes the rainy weather can help you out. So let's kind of key you in on what I'm expecting. Even on this Friday evening, we're starting to see some scattered rain showers across the area. Most of the rain, though, is still way off to the west, affecting places like Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. There's a thunderstorm concern down there. Now for Charlotte and the Bank of America Stadium area heading into Saturday, the risk of any strong storms is pretty darn low, mostly to the south and west. So I'm not too concerned about lightning. What I will say, though, is that the chance of rain is pretty high at times during the day Saturday. So here's Charlotte right there. This is still this evening. We're not worried about this. Let's talk about Saturday. Now, the morning time, this is around daybreak, scattered showers for the Charlotte area, the Triad too. And then by around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, most of the rain still off to the west. But you see right here, that's the first half of action. Light to moderate rain is pretty likely. So if you're going to the game, bring a poncho. I don't think it'll hurt whatsoever to be prepared. There's a low risk of that thunder. What I haven't mentioned enough, though, is the wind. Winds could be gusting around 30 miles per hour during the game. Of course, that can affect the passing game. That can affect also kicking field goals. All of those things are in play. So it's wet, it's warm, and it's windy. That's the forecast down in Charlotte as the Panthers take on the Rams. Maybe those California kids don't like that kind of weather. We'll see.
Tim, thank you so much. On top of the weather being a factor in tomorrow's game, we all know that the refs can also be a big one, too.
Yes, indeed. WFMY News 2's Sean Higgins has more on the crew assigned to the Rams-Panthers game.
Even if you did not watch the game against the Bucs, you probably saw some of the outrage over a couple of the decisions that Brad Allen's crew made last Saturday night. From the fumble that was blown dead, then ruled a loss for the Panthers, to some critical pass interference penalties late in the game. Even neutral fans called foul. This week, the Panthers won't see Brad Allen, but it will be a familiar face to fans. One that might conjure the phrase, "Cotchery caught it." Clete Blakeman's crew will call the game Saturday. Blakeman was the head referee for Super Bowl 50, the last time the Panthers made the Super Bowl. Early in that game, Cam Newton threw a pass to Jericho Cotchery for a first down and a big gain, but it was ruled incomplete. Even after a Carolina challenge, the call on the field was upheld. Even though the replay, it appeared as if Cotchery completed the catch. 2 plays later, Von Miller would strip sack Cam Newton for the first TD of the game. Blakeman's crew has not called a Panthers game all season. This Saturday will be the first time, and here are a few things to know about their tendencies. First off, Blakeman's crew is just below league average in flags thrown per game. The league average is 15, and they sit right at 14. Now, in terms of specific penalties called, they also line up pretty well with league averages except for 2 penalties, defensive offsides and illegal contact. That illegal contact penalty is the one to watch on Saturday. The matchup between the Panthers corners and the Rams wide receivers should be a physical one, which could lead to some penalties thrown against the Panthers. Now, there is one good omen. Home teams have a nearly 69% winning percentage in Blakeman's games. They've gone 11-5 this year with Blakeman's crew. That's nearly 15% more than the league average. But it's also important to keep in mind that these stats lack so much nuance. Each of the 27 teams Blakeman's crew saw this year are different. Each game they called had different circumstances, so there's really no way to predict how Saturday's game will be called. It's understandable that Panthers fans are on high alert. But by all measurable stats, it seems like Blakeman's crew is just your run-of-the-mill officials, which means they're going to miss things. They're going to get some stuff wrong. But by and large, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more fair crew in the NFL.
Well, sometimes you just need a little luck in the playoffs, and the stars may be aligned for the Panthers. We'll go back to Sean with more on why after the break. Welcome back, everyone. The Panthers are in the playoffs, snapping a 7-year postseason drought, but they enter Saturday's game as a heavy underdog.
Yeah, let's go to WFMY News 2's Sean Higgins, who explains how the Stars may just be aligned for a big playoff run.
At the beginning of the 2025 season, a Panthers prophecy was spread around online claiming that Carolina was potentially Super Bowl bound. Here's how the cycle goes. First, the Carolina Panthers have a losing record. Jennifer Lopez gets divorced. Ohio State wins the national championship in football. Then the following season, the Jaguars and Panthers play in week 1, and then Carolina goes to the Super Bowl. It happened in 2003, it happened in 2015, and somehow that prophecy is still alive. It's not scientific by any means, but when your team hasn't made the playoffs for 7 straight seasons, you'll grasp at anything resembling hope. So, let's put on our Panthers tinfoil hats and try to drum up some good omens for a Panthers win on Saturday. Cleat Blakeman's crew is assigned to officiate the game. Home teams are 11-5 this season with Blakeman's crew, and in their last 5 playoff games, home teams are 3-2. Advantage Panthers. Saturday is January 10th, exactly 22 years from the Panthers' double OT playoff upset of the then St. Louis Rams. The 0-3 Cardiac Cats were underdogs against a high-powered offense that featured 2 All-Pro wide receivers, an MVP caliber QB, and a running back that can hurt you on the ground and in the pass game. Sound familiar? Advantage Panthers. The LA Rams are 1-3 on the East Coast this season, and Matthew Stafford is 0-3 at Bank of America Stadium in his career. Those 3 games were all bottom 5 performances for Stafford in their respective seasons, with the 2025 and 2020 losses being his worst games those years. Another advantage, Panthers. All-time, the Panthers are 5-2 at home in the playoffs, going 2-0 in the wild card round. One of those victories came in the 2014 season, the last time the Panthers entered the playoffs with a losing record. That 7-8-1 team defeated a 5-loss NFC West runner-up with a play-calling head coach and a superstar wide receiver. Advantage Panthers. The only other team to enter the postseason with a losing record and win a playoff game are the 2010 Seattle Seahawks. The famous Beastquake game, Marshawn Lynch running through the Saints defense. Dan Morgan and Dave Canales were both on the staff in Seattle that year. Coincidence? No. Advantage Panthers. Take from this what you will, but before I remove my Panthers tinfoil hat, there's one more thing I'd like to share. In the 2003 and 2015 NFL drafts, the Panthers selected a Pac-12 player with their first-round pick. 2025, the Panthers selected Teteroa McMillan with their 8th pick in the first round. He went to Arizona, which was a Pac-12 school, until his final season. Who knows what's going to happen on Saturday? But as fans, all we can do is hope history repeats itself.
Sean, thank you so much. Now, as we wrap up our show, it is now time for what you have been waiting for, our predictions for tomorrow's game. Logan, I'll let you do the honors.
Okay. This is what I'm thinking, and maybe I'm just being very optimistic. Given the weather and how the Panthers are going to play at home, we know it's going to be rocking. I say 28-21 Panthers.
Okay, Logan, I think I'm going to tell you I'm really starting to drink that Panthers Kool-Aid being here, so I believe it's going to be a Panthers victory. I'm going to say 27-24. It's going to be very close. Again, rain, I think it's going to be a factor. I think the Panthers might be able to do the impossible.
All right, we're all making the homers picks. Sean Higgins is also predicting a close game. He says 24-21 Panthers. So
right.
We will have to see what happens tomorrow. Kickoff is at 4:30. Thank you guys so much for watching our Panthers Playoff Prowl special. This will do it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, like I just mentioned, we will be live at 2:30 on WFMI Plus for our pregame show. We hope to see you there. Don't forget, WFMI News 2 is your official home of the Carolina Panthers.